Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Audrey Shantz and I'm a watercolor artist and watercolor teacher, and I think we're on week 7 maybe? Nope, week 8 of our flowers series for the summer. So I'm loving it, and today happens to be my favorite one. So this is a video where we're going to sketch the whole thing, and then when this video is over we'll do a separate video if you want to do watercolor painting for this flower. This is what it looks like. And it's my favorite one. I'm gonna save the whole series. This is what the whole thing looks like, and then I'll quick show you that there's a free printable in this series. It's linked in the description below, and you can just use this one as like a visual reference if you would like to, but otherwise we will just sketch together today. If you're working on like you're putting them all together on one page, grab that and make sure you have it. If you're only sketching today, you can do this on any kind of paper that you want, but if you're gonna do watercolor painting, I recommend watercolor paper, and my favorite is 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. That means it's a little bit thicker than some of the others, and I think you'll have a better time. So that is that, and the supplies that we need today, there's actually one extra thing. So just a regular old pencil, a kneaded eraser, your paper, and then a white crayon. So that's important. We need to remember that during the sketching phase so that we don't forget it. And that's it. Make sure you have a candle or a snack or a drink or something. I'm gonna light mine. And make sure you set up a cozy space for yourself, and let's get started. Okay, so we are only doing this sketch right now, so I'm gonna try to remember to just talk about that, and I want you to remind me to use this white crayon later, okay? But we need to have that white crayon in this drawing phase before we get into any paints, okay? If you're not gonna be watercolor painting, you forget about that, and you'll probably actually just draw those white lines in with your pencil instead. So when we look at this to observe, you notice these two are very similar, but this top portion right here, on this one is a little bit less tall from top to bottom, and I like this one better. If I could direct you, I'd have you do this one, but you can see that they're both great, and in the end, we're gonna get what we get. You can always do it several times, but I will just kind of go through this and we can observe it together, is that this is a really lovely rounded shape, and from here came these petals that came out and away from the center. We have 1, 2, 3, you could maybe call that a 4th, but in this case I just turned it into 3, so that will be up to you. And it has all these cuties coming out and away from the top, and they each have their own little circle on the top. From here we have a stem that comes down, and if you look, it's actually kind of a Y stem, which I think is real cute. And then we've got another one here that hasn't fully opened yet. We really like these rounded lines, give us kind of a perfect space for these beautiful color blades later on. So I will stop talking about the watercolor portion, but I think getting the roundness in here is going to be really important. That's enough for observation on that end, but we need to grab our paper. If you're going to be putting them all on one page like this, you need to find kind of how you're going to fit it in there. Anybody else, you've got it on its own separate piece of paper and you're good to go. So I'll try to make this quick. What matters is that we pull it up tight into here so that in order to fit later on, we have a cosmo bud, and an echinacea all fitting on this portion of our paper still. So what I sometimes like to do is kind of go like a line, like I want to get all the way up to here. So I just drew on my paper a little bit, and I don't want to go too far. So really, if I look at the rest of my paper, I can do it like this. I don't want to go below maybe here, which means I've got not too much space to fit that in. Okay, so you look at what you've got, and I think we'll begin with this portion right here. We'll start with this petal first. So you just tuck it in where you can, and we will get drawing. So the most important thing I always say about drawing is to press lightly with your pencil so that you can sketch freely. Then you can play, you know, and you can make sure you get something that you like. Okay, here we are, putting my crayon right there so we don't forget it. And okay, so we're going to begin. Now I don't have as much space on this paper as I did here, so mine's gonna have to get tucked a little bit more like this. So find where you can find the widest part, and I feel like the stamen or whatever is gonna fit pretty well in here. I will begin by finding where I'm gonna put this mark right here. You can look at the whole thing if you want to and try to find like halfway, might be like right about here. That can help you kind of go, okay, is it gonna fit or whatever. I'm gonna use what I have, so I'll start with that middle petal, and it dips down in the center. So I'll start with that. I'll just help you out a little like this. Look at, that's how wide that first petal is. Okay, and if you can just sort of eyeball it like that, that's great. It dips in and it comes kind of nice curves. This side I see a straight line. This one's a nice tighter curve. And from top to bottom, it's not that tall. So I will go like this. Cool, right? And then we're gonna connect them. So from here, we'll curve it around. From here, this one comes in more. So we'll bring it in. Okay, so on to our next petal. This one here starts at the center, so starts right here. I see this line right like this. So I'm gonna, it's gonna come up a bit and then have this. So that's great. I can connect those. And then where's it gonna go? Let's just take a look over here. Look how far that is. Maybe here or so. And then I can go, where does it come out? About halfway through this portion. Okay, so we're gonna come like this, over and away. And then really kind of nice curves nicely down to this. So there's our second one. And then the third one is coming out and away, and you can do it as two or not. Like you see how this could be a separate one? That's up to you. So we'll kind of come again from that center, but up a little higher. I see this flat portion first, and I also see kind of a straight line here. See that? And I think that's really helpful too. Look, we can fit a whole triangle in this portion, so we know it's going to be out like this. And we can take and then connect them. Where does it meet? About here. So notice I'm just looking back and forth and I'm saying what I see, and that's a really helpful way for you to do it too. I'm going to bring the top of this one in a bit, and then I'm going to turn this into a separate petal by disconnecting this portion, because it wouldn't be exact like that, you know, and I'll just bring it like that. I'm probably going to change that, but I'm going to leave it for now. And we want to get this nice portion in here, and we need to have enough space to have like these vertical lines up in the middle part right here. And so I'm going to do this nice scoop like this, and we're going to look, where does it come out? Sorry, I got loud for a second, but I have teenagers and I was like indicating to them that I am filming. Okay, so this one is like a really nice shape, and we want it to be nice and rounded, so keep that bottom as like a really good scoop. Okay, and then I really like that. So our stem's gonna come right from the center of it, okay, down this way. Love it. And remember, this is a Y. But before I do that, I think one thing that helps me is if I scoop it this way. Then that gives me like a good start on this side of it, okay? And then I actually want to do this shape first, and then I'll connect it. Otherwise, I find that I'll go like this, and then I have to like cater this shape to that one, and that doesn't really make sense. So it's kind of like an egg. I would say think of a short, squatty egg, and that's the way. But we need to make sure we have space for these little tiny like bits that come out the top. So I'm going to come down a little, I guess, and I'm going to do, this is going to be like the bottom scoop. Put it like this maybe. Okay. A little wider. So I'm playing with the shape, you are too. Okay, and then from here, it's going to bring in a little bit tighter, and I know that's where all that's going to come from. So now I can find the center of this and actually see how it'll pull it down a little bit. Great. So that's okay, it's coming down a little bit lower on this one. It doesn't matter because I have different space on my paper here, so it's not going to be the same. And I think hopefully that frees you as well. Okay, it's getting weird here, so I have to watch what I'm doing. This needs to come down, and then where they connect, it can scoop together. It's almost there. I like how the first one looks, so I'm trying to match it. I think that's pretty good. I want to make sure I'm going to have space for this Cosmo later on. So I'm actually, because I just saw that, I'm going to pull this whole thing to the left a little bit. So you kind of look, do you have space? Like that's your Cosmo with this width coming out. So taking it sideways. And I think that was I'm really glad I saw that when I did. So when you're adding it all together, it's nice to try to look for that. This is all looking a little wonky to me, so I feel like in a second I'm gonna have to make small adjustments, but we can't get there without, you know, I used to think you would just get it right the first time if you were a good artist, and now I know that's not true. You'll take the time to get it how you like it, you know? And that's what's important, is you liking your art. That's wonky. We're coming back to it because sometimes it just doesn't feel right. You just got to go, okay, I'm going to add these, and then I'm going to come back and I'll see it slightly differently. I think you can see right now the differences, but my brain will find it better in a second. So now let's look at these. Let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, okay? But look at what a lovely sort of almost halo they create here. And in order for me to make sure that that remains, I really have to watch that I'm spacing these. I'm not going loosey-goosey about it because I want all that lovely space between. I don't want to lose any of those curves. And right here, 2 of them cross over. So I have to be careful because I want that white space in between. So we're looking for that. And I'm going to start with this center one. I find that's usually the most helpful. I see that it comes basically up, not really a straight line, but it comes up, maybe curved a little bit to the left, over to the right, and scoops down, and then we have its oval. So I think my whole thing might have to be inched a little bit to the right so I don't cut into this one. I don't want them to touch, so I won't let it touch this flower. At least that's the plan, okay? And it's maybe, let's look how high. Like this, about that high. So if you can just, off my pencil, kind of get it. It's gonna put us about here. And so I'm gonna come a little bit to the right. You can look right at this one. If you haven't yet, you can take a screenshot real quick so you've got it. And then it's going to scoop over and I should get this nice shape. So I'm going to put this here and then, and then you notice I already started adding the second one right next to it. And you can do that anytime, but that's how I wanted to. So that's one. And then, the next one, let's do this one all the way over on the side so we can make sure we get a nice width to it. And you can pull this over further to the right if you need to, but otherwise look at this space so we can think of that as like a tool. I'm gonna pull mine pretty far over because we've established I kind of need to today because I want to fit a whole one in between these. So I'm gonna go out to the right and up just like this. And here's that oval. Now I will add the line right alongside. Whoops, I hit my light. Okay, so are you with me? We're coming like this. This is skinny. These are skinny little stems, real skinny, skinnier than these. And we want it to be the same thickness all the way up. So it matters that they're nice and tight like that. So that's this one and this one. Why don't we get this curvy one in and its little topper will go right between. And that will be cute. So you do that any way that you want really, but for here it comes up, over to the right, and up. So up, over to the right, and up. And we got it. I put the oval up there. I want those ovals to be placed where I want them. I don't want them to just end up wherever. So that's real cute. That's 1, 2, 3. Notice I have an extra guy up here. We'll wait and bring him in a minute. For now, let's do this one. It comes all the way out. It even crosses over that petal, comes up and curves right. And I want that nice width, so coming over, crossing over that petal, and then it comes up. Now notice though that it comes in, this one goes out, so I still need space to the left, which means I'm actually going to pull this in, and this goes to the right. So you're looking at that reference as much as you can. Hopefully I'm not constantly covering it, and hopefully you're not yelling at me. Love it. So now that's this one. So why don't we get this one that crosses over it? You can see that's almost like I want to say like a fish, like a doodle of a fish in between them, you know? What else would you call that? I don't know. But this time I'm going to start, I want to actually add this top in first, and watch, we can actually take a line here. You can go either way you want. I don't want it to touch my other flower, so I'm not letting it, and it'll cross about up here and come down. And now I will join it. So connecting this. It's so cute. So if you have little extra lines that, you know, are things you didn't want, make sure you erase those either along the way or at the end. And then you just have to choose which one's in the front. And the one in the front shouldn't have lines going through it. So I pulled that one front. And so I've got 1, 2. Now I need this tall one up top. And I need this straight one. Let's do the straight one first. And look, it's higher. Its top is higher. I think I can just go like, its top is here. It's not straight, it's got a curve, so let's give it a bit of a curve, but not too much. I think that's a nice contrast between the others. And then we're almost done. We've got this one here, and I see it's just gonna kind of swoop up. And honestly, from here, you can just, wherever it goes, then just follow those lines. Hide them behind something. It doesn't, you don't have to finish it, it's up to you. And then this one had that extra guy behind it, so we'll just add it here. Oops, it's more of a circle, and I need it to be an oval like the rest of them. But I like how, you know, if you hide it a bit like that, probably no one's even noticing there's an extra. Isn't this the cutest? Okay, we're gonna get, actually, because I'm thinking of it, we're gonna get our white crayon for a minute and put our lines in these petals that come out. And if you are not gonna do watercolor painting, you're just here for the sketch, grab your pencil and you can do the same thing that we are gonna do with crayon. Now, the thing to remember about using crayon is like, you're not gonna be able to see it. The best you'll see it is if you see the light reflecting on it. So I like to be methodical, and I like to go like left to right, just so I can kind of remember where I've been. And I will just point out these come out from where the center would be. So you're following sort of the curves you've created and coming up and over. And we're just having some lines that follow that arch, okay? And then this one, they come this direction and they sort of bow out on either side and maybe up top. And over here, follow those curves again. So we will be doing that with crayon, which I know is harder to see. But since I am gonna paint it, I gotta go that way. So just these little curved lines. Don't do too many of them because you don't want the whole thing to be not painted and you can't paint over it. So just think of it that way. Out and away, out and away. Try to just copy what you see here. And we're done with the crayon. I don't think I used it anywhere else. No, so crayon is done. It's out of the way. And then from here, okay, remember I said some things were wonky for me. I'm gonna look at those. You look at yours at the same time. Then we'll get in and we'll add the rest of the lines here. So my shape was weird. Okay, so this is the kind of thing. I can't add my lines onto a shape that I don't like in the first place. That's just crazy, right? So I'm turning these for a second because my brain can make more sense of them this direction. And I'm gonna give it this nice scoop this way. That's already better. Okay, so you look at yours, take a second. Wider on the bottom than it is on the top. I love it. So I'm just gonna erase because it's just like too thick of lines. I'm lightening it. That's all I'm doing with my eraser right there. And then just going right over what I had. Excellent, it's better. It's always worth it to take a minute and come back to something that just kind of isn't quite working. And I want these to have, notice I'm bringing this into like diagonals just a wee bit, okay? A wee bit. I like to ask questions randomly and I haven't been, so I'm gonna say, what did you have for breakfast today? And if you wanna leave it in the comments, it's literally just for fun. Obviously there's no reason I need to know what you ate, but what did I eat? Protein Cheerios with blueberries in it. Black coffee. Okay, so we've got this one, we've got our lines in here. Now we need to get these lines in, and these are just lovely lines. I love them. And so I'm gonna just show you here on this piece of paper for a minute. Like if this is our shape, I'm gonna round it up shape. If you were to find the center like this, we're not doing that line, but we are doing these rounded out lines on the side, and again, and again. Do you see what I did? I'm gonna do it again. So here's our circle. We're not finding center, so but you can do this and then erase it, right? Because that'll be a tool. And then we're gonna come scooped out like this, out again. So now you're following this outside curve is what you're doing. And we are gonna need 1, 2, and then the outside. So that's already 1. So we'll split the difference right here and do our second one. This is the first one, this is the second one, and then, you know, this is where our actual petal is on top of it, right? So that's what we want. That's kind of what it'll look like, okay? So now we got this. We're gonna take this shape, I'm gonna round that out just a little bit, find this center here. That's your straight line. I'll put that in here too. We'll all do it together. From here, we're going to scoop out on the outside once. Okay, and one more time. Right here, you're splitting the difference. If you've got from here to here, find halfway. And you see from here, we're following that bottom and coming up. Isn't that great? You did it. Let's do it again. This one doesn't have quite as many. It actually, we find our, actually, erase your center before we go on. Although I suppose you could keep it, but we're not going to. Okay, and then this one just has, if here's our center, we have one line and then the outside. So I think mine's a little bit small. I'm gonna widen it up. You wanna make yours bigger too? Always in watercolor, if your space is too small, the frustration that you might have later on is it's more fun to paint in bigger spaces. You get to play with your paint more. Okay, that feels a little better to me. So from here, I'm gonna find my center again. Here it is. I'm gonna come, I only need to have between the center and the edge 1. Okay, so, but we're gonna widen it up. So don't think one line is gonna have to be 2 sides to it. So it's gonna come up this way and then widen it out. Okay, we'll do the same on this. If this is your outside, widen that when we brought it in. Same thing over here. Don't come too far from the center. Like, you can use this as a rule that you break, do you know what I'm saying, and change your spacing a little bit. But there's the first one, and then here is the second one. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this one's a little different than this one, and I'm okay with that. So from here, we've got 4 little spikies, or 5 maybe. Just go for it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Adorable. So they're all coming from that center, a little bit out and away, a little bit curved. I'm taking a risk doing this because it's the afternoon and it's summer, so my college kids are home and I think they're getting ready for work. So lots of doors today, but we can handle that. I love this. I love this. Don't forget, you've already done your crayon here. I think you're done with your sketch. If you are not going to watercolor paint, you might want to take your pencil and darken some areas and play with it like that. If you're going to paint, meet me over on our next video and we will do it together. Thanks for hanging out with me.